Take your position. The show is about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to On Screen, where we discuss all things cinema all the time. Here's your hosts.
the award goes to
Joe Brunett, Joe Cuffney, and Jesse Reichenstein. Lights, camera, action.
Happy
Episode
50.
50. That is pretty crazy. I can't believe we've done this for more than a year. Does not feel like a whole year at all.
Yeah.
Well, on episode 50, we are going to talk about the new A24 Apple movie, The Tragedy of Macbeth. And you picked this one, Joe.
Yeah, I picked this one because I kind of okay, so I always have mixed feelings about like Shakespeare movies. But I thought this one just looked really cool. And the cast was awesome. Like, it's a Joel Coen movie. It's got all sorts of big names in it.
First solo directorial debut by Joel Coen.
Not the Coen brothers.
Yeah, right.
But I just always really liked the look of like noir films. Like, a guilty pleasure is like Sin City.
Nice.
And so when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, this looks sick. And like, obviously I know the story of Macbeth, even though I generally have a very hard time following the Old English Shakespeare. And that was very true, this movie, even though like, I thought like everything was visually very beautiful and like the acting was really good. I just still like find myself like hearing the words they say, but being like, what did you mean?
Yep.
And
what mean art thou?
Can we do that whole episode like that? Review the podcast or the movie on the pod. I can't even do it. See,
but like sometimes, like, I mean, obviously, I know the story of Macbeth, so like I was able to follow, along and or whatever. But like, it just makes me feel stupid, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah,
because it is the language we speak. It's just like I can't understand it.
Yep.
But I did generally like the movie. I thought it was really well done. I'm not sure I would like watch it again, but like I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I basically feel the same way you do. I'm not a huge Shakespeare. I don't know. I can't get it. I've tried, like Romeo and Juliet. I've tried. I just can't get into it. I think the whole speaking thing also throws me off. I like kind of talk about these older films, like not older films, but set in this time, kind of like, it's almost like if you don't know English, that's kind of what you hear. Like if someone's foreign and they don't know English, like this is what I picture them hearing. And like, I kind of wish that this was like a silent movie. I feel like I would have understood it more. Just no dialogue, just music.
That would have been such a baller move to do a Shakespeare movie and then be like, and I'm cutting all Shakespeare's lines out.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But I think overall, like, I don't know, exactly how you feel, Joe. Like, it was shot really well. Like, it was beautifully done. I love the black and white and the 4:3 aspect ratio. I don't know. My attention wasn't kept the whole time.
It was long.
It could have been shorter for sure. But
yeah.
I was curious because they made it 4:3, right? Like I got Lighthouse vibes. I don't know if you guys have seen The Lighthouse, but it's very similar. Like just how it's shot. It's also 4:3, and it's just like a lot of straight on shots. But it's interesting because the camera quality is so good now. I'm curious. I really enjoyed how it was good because like I feel like sometimes they put a grain over it, which is great. I love the grain to make it old school, but it was interesting how it was shot like it was old school, but it still had that newer quality to it.
I agree. Like I mean, in terms of the actual like quality of the shots, like they're very detailed shots, which like in black and white, generally you don't get that much detail, but I feel like with this, you really did. And like everything was really well thought through into like composing different shots. Everything was usually very symmetrical, which I like.
Yeah.
Works with my OCD, but yeah, I agree. I don't mind the grain when it like fits with it, but I feel like there was so much good detail in the costume, probably more so in the costumes than in the set. I feel like the sets were almost intentionally like bland, but I felt like it was good at good at like painting a picture where your focus went to the characters.
Yep. It gave me like early 1900 film vibes because like, you know, a lot of those films were shot in studio and the sets were built and it was just, you know, black and white, obviously.
Another thing that came up that may or may not be in that Eric Billich interview, who Eric mentioned that he wished this was on film, is when he mentioned in Locating Silver Lake how Finn speaks weird. Like, but Finn is like a Juilliard trained like person who can like handle the language. That's all I thought in this movie too, is like, oh man, it's got to be hard to act in this movie with these words, you know, like you have to be on your game to like actually do this the way they speak.
Oh yeah, that's tough. I can't even speak normally like that. I don't know how acting like a whole scene. I don't know. It just
brought me back to reading Shakespeare in like high school and having to like, we'd like get assigned kind of like parts and just have to like stand and everyone stood in front and like read the lines. And it was like, so you were so focused. You were so focused on even like how to say it that no one was even listening to like what was going on. So you just no one picked up anything.
It's funny you say that because as I was watching this, I was like, am I like in like an English kind of like vibe the past month? Because I picked Brian's song and then I picked this. And I was like, what's going on? What's up with that? But I also like, why is Shakespeare taught in English? Like, I understand it's English and they're like classics and that, but like,
yeah, I don't know.
Why is that what we're teaching kids? Has anyone asked that question?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I think there's an argument of like it's foundational classics of like if you were to teach like an art, all the like Da Vinci and like I also though agree with you where like I actually think education there should be some classics, but we should modernize so much literature. Like there's no reason we don't read any modern literature in most education, like, and AKA, so no one cares about it. That's the reality. Like how many kids care about these things?
Actually, though, yeah. That's kind of why I like doing like, you know, how Baz Luhrmann made a Romeo and Juliet movie, but made it modernized with Leo. Like I didn't like love the movie, but I appreciate that they tried to went that route. And I was like, that'd be interesting if they wrote books the same way. Like then they just redid them.
Yeah, you don't have to redo them though. I'm saying like even like there's just good modern books written by like, I mean the big argument too of this is like, of course, everything written from that age is just like a white dude in Rome or something. Where like now we have books written by like lots of different people we could learn from, but we're like, we like those. Those are good. We're done.
It is so weird, actually. Yeah, like why? Like why are we learning about that?
Well, like I wonder if you actually read something that maybe like one people could actually understand because it's like the language they like actually, you know, but like maybe that would get people into like reading more.
No, exactly.
I mean, this deterred me from reading.
I was gonna say I learned to hate reading, and I think a lot of kids did through school. Like I connected it with just like I don't enjoy this.
Yeah.
I think we're just changing the public system on our podcast right now.
That's what we're doing.
This is on education.
Public education. Watch out. We're coming for you. To help, not to crush public education. News article on screen.
On paper.
Launches war on public education.
I did. It's funny that you mentioned that though, because like I actually, as I was watching this and I was thinking about my weird like month of English movie picks, I was like, in 5 years from now, are they going to be playing this in like, you know, 11th grade English or whatever? Because like it is, I mean, it's a dark story.
Yeah.
It's a kind of messed up story, but
I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting more. Like I get why this is rated R, but I don't know. There was like a few bloody scenes and like I was just expecting more from like A24 especially. I'm like, they could have gotten a lot more dark and sinister with this, which is kind of the story.
That's kind of where I expected them to go, to be honest. Same. That's kind of why I was excited about it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think A24, did they produce it? I think they were solely distributor on this stuff.
Well, that makes sense.
I don't know. I was trying to read into that a little after last time because I'm like, it's always super confusing with them. But my quick summary too of how I felt about this, because it started off, I totally get that too. Like anything Shakespeare has like this like highbrow feel of like
pretentious.
I like hate it because I feel like oversimplification, but like if you get it, you're like, yeah, I'm a genius, I get it. And then otherwise you're like, I don't get this, I feel dumb.
Yeah.
But will say too that when it started, I mean, you have to be in the right mood for this. When it started, I watched it last night, just like had to watch it, and autofocus. This is stylistic, I guess. Okay. But it started, and arguably, I think I might be the biggest Coen brothers fan of the three of us. And it started, and I was like, oh, fuck, this is so Coen brothers. Like, this sucks. Like, this is just two Coen brothers, even though it's just Joel. But like, you get that right when it opens. I was like, this is like Monty Python without the humor. Like, that's like the vibes I got.
That's a good way to describe it.
But then, and then they start, it's all the old English. And I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to watch this. Like, there's like the Coen brothers and that. But then like halfway in, I actually was like not like super into it. Like, again, it's like, watch it if it interests you. If not, just watch The Lion King. You got it. But like halfway into it, I kind of started getting into the flow of things and being like, that's like when I was like, oh yeah, this would be like crazy to do as an actor, and like the sets are cool, and like, it's a cool art piece. Did I love it? No.
Art piece is a great way to
but like,
describe it.
Yeah, like halfway in, I finally started to be like, okay, I can appreciate it for what it is, but I still not super into it.
What did you guys think of Denzel?
He was great. I actually really liked him in this.
I did too.
He was good.
I know there was a bit of controversy around him playing Macbeth because, he's not Scottish, and this is supposed to be a Scottish king. But I actually thought he was perfect because
Hamilton casting.
Yeah.
There was. Did you guys get that? The Harry Potter connection, or Jesse probably didn't, but the Harry Potter connection there. There was
castles.
Duncan was Dudley.
Moody. Well, there's
Duncan,
Moody.
Oh, sorry. Duncan is Moody, and then Malcom is Dudley. And then the girl, like the witch girl,
she was the squib.
Yeah, in the fifth movie. So I was like, that's kind of fun.
I especially with the witch on that like opening scene, I heard her voice and I'm like, where do I know that from?
Yep.
And I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, Harry Potter. And then I had the same thing with Moody, and like I was like, oh my God, everyone from Harry Potter's in this.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because she's only in Harry Potter for a short time, but she's so memorable, I feel like.
Voice is very unique.
I got Gollum vibes from her in the beginning.
yeah, she was creepy. And when she was like up on the rafters with the
one of those people.
And she played all the witches. So she played all the witches.
I thought also, like, I was like at the beginning when they first showed that, I like didn't think it was actually her contorting. I just thought it was like special effects kind of like every time. And then as she started like moving, I was like, oh, that is like a human body. I just thought it was like a CGI, like arms coming out of random places. Creepy. Yeah, no, real creepy. The one person that happened to me with is Stephen Root, who plays the porter. I mean, very small, but he was the guy who I was like, who is he? He's like the crazy. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No. Stephen Root.
Stephen Root. I think it's Stephen Root. He played the porter. He was like,
he's in Dodgeball and Get Out.
Yeah, he's in so many things as like that same kind of like character. But I saw him, and he's one of those people who I'm like, oh, he's in so many things, but like, why can't I think of one thing he's in?
He's never a main character. He's always like a side character.
No, but he's always so good. But he always kind of plays that like frantic, out of his mind. Was he? I can't even. I like picture him in Dodgeball, but I can't even think of what.
He's the guy with the glasses who's married to his wife who cheats on him, and he gets angry. See, I feel like I like him more recently because he's getting into these more type of roles. Because like I feel like the Dodgeball era, he was just like comedy movies. Like he was just a funny, But this, he was in Get Out. He was in this one, and he's been in a couple of dramas too.
Yeah.
So I like that he's kind of branching out a little bit and doing a little more.
Yeah. I wonder how big I feel like, I mean, depending on your background as an actor, I feel like doing a Shakespeare thing is like the pinnacle of like dramatic acting. Or like, like if you went to like Juilliard and you're like a theater person, you're like, I get to do like this cool new version of Macbeth. feel like that could be like the coolest thing for some of them.
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard. I feel like I've heard
Yeah.
that before. I don't get it, but I've heard it before.
For like the classically trained folks,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Did
know.
you guys like Frances McDormand in this?
She was fine. I mean, I think like she did a good job, but I mean, I could see other people playing that role too. Like, I know
Did
the
you
Coen
know-
brothers like her, so.
I was gonna say, did you notice that she was a producer with Joel Coen?
Oh no! I
And like
didn't.
none like she was the only of those big names who was like an executive producer with him.
I found out after the fact, and I mean, I think it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really have a very strong opinion on that. I don't know
No.
how well they work together, but I just kept seeing. I think the movie that stands out when I see her, I think of Nomadland.
Yep.
I kept, that's another one I kept seeing. I don't think it didn't necessarily like take me out of it, but like it's just another one of those like really like memorable voices, and
It's the
I mean,
prequel
she's
to
such
it
a
though.
staple. Yeah, everyone like loves her in Hollywood.
yeah. I guess we can. I don't know if do we have any locations?
This
for
is
this
all
one?
in
It's all on a
It's
studio.
all set.
So
Yeah.
all
no.
set.
The
So,
whole
no
movie was shot on a
locations.
soundstage. Everything was built except for an element of the last shot. There's not one exterior shot.
Well, where's the sound set? Where's the studio?
I don't know.
LA.
I'm assuming it's California.
Cool.
But I don't know. It's just interesting. I do kind of like when they do like, I don't know, because you have so much creative freedom when you do that. So there's like pros and cons, obviously. I mean, because I mentioned earlier, like this reminded me of watching like, The Wolfman from 1941. Like a lot of that isn't a soundstage and you can tell, but I love it because like, when he's walking through the woods, it's just like dark, but you can see like the fog covering the ground. I just have that memory like stuck in my head, like that visual, and I love it. It's so cool. And I feel like this is kind of brought me back to that a little bit. But you know how I'm kind of contradicting myself because I said earlier, I love how clear it was and I love the camera quality. But then I'm going kind of on Eric's side where I kind of wish it was shot in film. So I don't know. I'm kind
You
of
can just
torn.
want there to be both versions.
Both.
That's okay.
They should have shot it twice.
in the menu, you just get to choose.
Wait, that would actually be sweet.
Real time rendering.
Or they shoot it like Tommy Wiseau and they shoot it on film and digital
At the same time.
Yeah,
I'm
get
not
the
mean-
real. I kind of I mean, I get both. I kind of like the digital. I like that it's not playing too hard into old, even though it is like, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But I
know
feel
what
like there's definitely a lot of like probably similar films that take from like, I don't know if this term is right, but like German or like
you mean. Oh yeah, German
neo-Gothic.
expressionism.
Yeah, like MC Escher.
Yep.
And like that. Right. There's like early horrors that really drove.
Oh,
from
Cabinet
that.
Dr. Caligari stuck out to me. I mean, that's in the early teens, 19s, teens. But it was like that movie, it's like all in the studio and it's like it's all set. It's so unrealistic, but it's like a style. It's such a style.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
contorted buildings and like squished
Yeah.
windows and
And never ending staircase.
never ending staircase. I kind of love it. I mean, it's cool, but I
That's
can't
where a
watch
lot
it.
of the noir stuff kind of came from, right? That like German expressionism kind of.
Yeah,
era.
I think it kind of came from that. I mean, noir is a whole different type of film, essentially. Like I'm thinking of like Orson Welles noir with like crime thrillers. That's kind of what I think when I think noir.
Didn't Orson Welles do a Macbeth?
Probably.
Is that true?
I don't know.
I feel like one of the first ones was Orson Welles or something like that.
Now I want to pick an Orson Welles movie.
Orson-
Should we get when we do, if we're going to get
Uh-huh.
into ratings, I want to also get just like a yes or no, like, would you recommend someone see this? Because I feel like
if
I could see it going either way.
if you like Shakespeare, yes. If you like A24, yes. If
I
you
don't
don't
even know if I
like
go that far.
really,
If you like A24, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I get it.
I feel like if you appreciate, if you know A24 well enough, I feel like you can somewhat enjoy this movie. But then again, I mean, I love A24. I appreciate it to this to an extent, but it wasn't my favorite movie.
Yeah, I would. It's kind of been. I feel like this came up last week, and now I'm like, if somebody was like, "I'm interested in it," or "Should I watch it?" I'd be like, "Yeah." but I'll never tell anyone who like didn't bring this up to watch it. Like,
No, I agree with that. I'm not gonna be like, have you seen the tragedy of Macbeth?
Yeah, like
Watch
you wouldn't go pushing this the way you'd be like, you have to see Inside. But
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
you'd be like, if somebody came up to you and was like, hey, is this worth, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours of my time? You'd be like, yeah, once.
Honestly,
Yeah.
since this is such an older story, and I feel like most people know the story of Macbeth, I would honestly just say watch like the last 20 minutes. Just to get the feeling
Or-
of like the camera work, the coloring, the lighting, and then you don't have to worry about the whole story.
I will say though, if you're like, because again, I was thinking back to like high school and having to reread Macbeth and being like, this would be great if you had to read it or wanted to know it, because it's still Shakespeare, but it's like the coolest you could get for being like true to Shakespeare. So like if you watch this when you were like reading Macbeth or something, I think you could like, with all the visuals, I think you'd actually end up getting way more out of like understanding the story and like truly understanding it. So like if anyone's listening and you're in high school English and you're reading Macbeth, give this a watch. That's the one I'll go out of my way to be like, check it out.
Watch this. Yeah.
That's a good point. If you're kind of in that like zone, if you're in the Shakespeare zone, throw it on. I think you'll enjoy it.
I'm
But
gonna
if you're
walk
just-
around
Now
with,
I
like, a
wanna hear
mini
the actual
skull
rating.
now.
Oh,
Zero.
what is that movie?
Zero.
The
Terrible.
Schwarzenegger movie? Was it with the skull? What is that? Hamlet, right?
Yeah.
I've never
Is that-
seen it.
I mean, I don't remember the film. I just even know in like the play, it's like
You know what? I think it's actually a movie called The Last Action Hero, but I think Arnold Schwarzenegger plays an actor in that movie, in a movie about Hamlet. That's what I'm thinking of.
okay. I mean, that makes sense because it's a Hamlet thing. I was like, I don't know Schwarzenegger and Hamlet, but
Yeah, he played it in a movie. So
it's like to be or not to be kind of,
yeah.
I don't know. It's
Well,
all
do you
the
guys
same to me.
like how do you feel? I mean, we kind of talked about this, but like, do you have like a favorite? If you had to pick a favorite Shakespeare, or do you just not enjoy it that much?
Probably. It's a good question.
I
Because I'm just
I
gonna
don't
say I don't read any Shakespeare, and I don't really enjoy it. So
I mean, I don't read it for sure, and I'm not going to, other than the forced readings that like you barely read. I, it's very interesting. I think Shakespeare, if you actually look into it, it's like very cool. And like, you know, there's like tragedies, comedies, whatever the other ones are. Like, and I think it's really cool though that like there's such solid stories like that they've been redone. I mean, like obviously the famous ones are like there's always Disney movies. Like the most famous is like The Lion King is the story of Macbeth. You know, like pretty much.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's like this Disney movie is Hamlet or something. And so like there's cool takes on it, and like it's like very cool just to understand in terms of like storytelling and like the foundations of that, and like obviously anything that lasts that long. But like picking up a Shakespeare book by itself,
Thanks.
I'm just not doing it. I'm just
yeah,
like I'm not an English person, do not major in it. Like I'm far opposite from that. So I think there's like interesting things to pull, and it's like worth kind of knowing a little bit. But again, just stick to your Disney films. You'll get it. You'll get it.
I kind of wish we had someone who's interested in English on this, so they could kind of walk us through everything.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
to be educated a little bit.
But I do agree with like the whole anime. Like The Lion King is great. I think adding a musical aspect to it also is great.
Here, maybe not. I was gonna pull a The Lion King. And I was trying to pull a list of like Disney movies that are actually Shakespeare.
Oh yeah,
plays.
pull it up. I'm curious. I will say while you do that, I feel like this is gonna get like Oscar buzz too. So
Oh, this for sure will get Oscar. Absolutely. I mean, when I was watching it, I was thinking like, oh well, at least I'm glad I saw it because it'll be an Oscar movie.
yeah. I mean, I'd say the lighting was awesome. I love the lighting. I love how it was shot. So I get that. I mean, and I mean, Denzel was really good. I thought he was great. I just don't think he like there wasn't enough there where I'm like he was the best of the year.
I just don't think it was original. Like, I mean,
Right.
it was original, but not really. I mean, it's Macbeth.
Right.
So I don't know. I'd rather see something original win.
Agreed.
Also, how different I wonder how different the script was, because it was like written by Joel Coen, like adapted for the screen. And I'm always like, I'm just so curious of like, obviously there's some tweaks that need to be made, but like how much, I'm just so curious what that amount is.
Yeah.
Not enough to win an Oscar, hopefully.
Guess we'll see.
Let's do actual ratings.
You want to go first?
Sure. I'm going to give this a solid 6. I'm going to go 6 creepy child heads in the water. I feel like we've talked about this pretty much ad nauseum. It's just like, I'm not a huge Shakespeare person. But I like the visuals and I thought the acting was good. So didn't hate it. Enjoyed the watch, but probably won't watch it again.
Yeah. Solid. I'll go. That's kind of what I mean, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like we're all pretty similar on this one. Yeah, like I mean, I'm glad I watched it because I love A24 and I'm just like, just check another one off the box. Like checking another one. I love it. Acting was great. Yeah, lighting was great. I do kind of like how they did the whole in studio setup. I thought that was kind of fun. Because I feel like you don't get that a lot nowadays. I mean, you can, because like I feel like a lot of Marvel films are shot in studio, but they still do some exteriors. I was glad it was black and white. I had no idea. I didn't see the trailer. I didn't know anything, so I thought it was kind of fun. That was black.
You didn't know this was even black. You hadn't even seen like an image from it.
I avoided that. I don't know.
Crazy.
I didn't really hear about it until really till Joe mentioned it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Whoa.
Well, I saw it then, like, when I think it was Apple because I had to subscribe to Apple TV Plus. So I think it's Apple.
Yeah, Apple made this.
Yeah. But when I saw it, it was like black and white image. I was like, it didn't really. I was like, okay, cool. Like, but sometimes they do have black and white images for that when it's a colored movie or vice versa. I've seen that happen before, and I'm like, okay. So, but it looked really good. Like I think it looked amazing. Like it was very clear. It just looked good. I'm gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 5 lighting setups.
You go.
I'll go. I think my rating 6. I tried to last night when I watched it. I tried to be like, I'm gonna lock in a rating before I even discuss it. Don't even remember, but I think it was 6. We'll go 6 birds. I thought that was a nice, maybe reference to Hitchcock when he was like hallucinating and it was just a bird in the room.
Yeah, that was funny.
But again, I mean, like the second half was way better than the first half for me.
Agreed.
But just because I think it was like I wasn't in the right mood, and then I sat down, and then halfway, and you just like were forced to be like, this is happening. And then until the second half, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Oh yeah, the actors, like really tricky to play. Oh, the sets are cool. Like it's cool for what it is, but it's very much like an art piece.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, totally.
Like it's hard to like the more like artsy or older, the more like distance it is from like the life, like things that are shot and over really relatable. It's just like not as relatable, so it's like harder to connect with. Like it's just more distanced. So, but I mean, that's what it was going for. Yes. So
my take is like, I think like I'm really glad it did its own thing. It was different because like you don't get that a lot, especially nowadays. It's almost like there's such a formula to everything, like movies and stuff, especially. It's like this was original, and well, not original, but it was at the same time.
It's the original formula.
Exactly. But I do like how like it was just like I haven't seen something like that since The Lighthouse, because The Lighthouse is also an art piece. Like it's literally just made, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like made for, I don't want to say made for the Oscars, but it was like made to kind of compete with blockbusters in a way. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, this is one of the movies that I don't love describing things like this, but I do as I see movies like this, and I'm like, oh, this is a film critic's wet dream.
Yeah, totally.
Like if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like this is a movie that real film people will love to be like, oh, you just don't understand. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes. And it's not that it's not, but that's kind of the vibe.
I 100% feel you on that. Yep. And as much as I love The Lighthouse, that's the same way The Lighthouse is. Like I love it. There's like I love the acting's fantastic. There's more to it than this movie, but it's still that got that vibe where it's almost like I'm making this for a certain type of person.
Yeah, there's a pretentiousness in.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, it's also like it's hard not to have that when you're dealing with Shakespeare.
I know.
Just the way Shakespeare is ingrained and taught to us all, like there's pretentiousness in that.
Yeah, I agree.
But
agreed.
Cool.
Jesse, did you find the Disney movies?
I found some also interesting. Shows I had no clue what I'm talking about with plays, but Hamlet is also very similar to Macbeth. So like a bunch of people are like The Lion King is Macbeth. A bunch of people are also like The Lion King is also Hamlet. So 2 plays in one.
All right.
Knock off 2 plays. Just watch The Lion King. You got 2 down.
Because Hamlet's the musical aspect, right?
Well, different. Hamlet killed for revenge, while Macbeth only killed for power and greed. So there's a little.
Okay.
Some people, it's more like Scar killed for revenge. Some people are like he just won the power. So
Wow.
debate is open.
We need to know. We need to get Scar on here and get his motivation.
Yep.
Get the exclusive interview from Scar next week.
From Scar from Lion King.
Did you just pick your next week's movie, Jesse?
Yeah, I've got a special guest. No, I mean that's a whole nother thing, but I was not a fan of that live action. I mean, I think we all went and saw it together. But
well, you would have to go with the original.
Yeah. Anyways, but there was a like West Side Story is actually Romeo and Juliet, the 2 lovers from the competing.
I think you could say that about anything. Like Romeo and Juliet, it could be.
They're just such like.
But it has to be that the 2 of them come from like feuding families, you know.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like the key part, kind of. 10 Things I Hate About You, we've watched, and I'm pretty sure it came up. That was Taming of the Shrew. Pretty sure JoJo said that.
Yeah.
She's the Man came up as. Oh no, which one was Midsummer's Night? Anyways, there's a bunch of here we go. She's the Man is Shakespeare's 12th Night. Get Over It in 2001. Great film, as I remember. Loose adaptation of Midsummer's Night Dream. Lion King. I don't know what O is. Just One of the Guys, 1985. Adaptation of 12th Night.
Heard of that one.
Also. So, you know, there's just a bunch of I don't know, people using Shakespeare. But again, it's like he laid the foundation for like so many like styles of stories and like plots that I don't know, they're very like not cookie cutter frames, but they're like solid templates that a lot of people just pull from, and they're like, that's a great story premise. So like, let's make this mine.
Right.
So everyone, more Shakespeare than you think. Probably.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Shakespeare at all, so please disregard whatever I say if it's wrong.
Bill Shakespeare.
Do we have any news?
Oh, well,
or are we still talking about this?
Oh, I'm cool. I mean, I got.
Or do you want to do the review? It's up to you.
Oh man, someone's got to. Can we set like an automated Slack reminder on like the day before to be like, Jesse, go find a 1-star review, because then I will.
Okay.
But I just typed in 1-star. Okay, give me 1 second. Cut this out.
Cut. Do you listen to the It's Always Sunny podcast?
No, but I saw it the other day and I was like, oh, I have to remember.
You gotta watch. You listen to it. It's like, dude, each episode's like 20 minutes. And it's funny that when they talk about something and they want to cut it out, but they don't, you just hear like Glenn just go, cut it.
When the audience?
What?
Did you say when the audience says something that they don't?
No, when they like talk about it's just the 3 guys. And when they talk about something and they kind of want to cut it out, but they don't. It's in the episode. They all go cut.
I love that.
It's hilarious.
Read that review.
There's a lot of 1-stars, guys, for this one. So
wait, really?
Yeah.
How many?
lots, but this is a little snippet of one. It's black and white because of COVID. No kidding. That's the real reason. I don't know what the background to that is from this random reviewer, but you heard it here first. It's black and white because of COVID.
How? I want to hear that reasoning.
You read it on the internet, so it's true.
Yeah, they didn't. It is. If you want to contact them, their name is first name capital U, last name capital W. No profile picture, so reach out.
Seems legit.
All right.
I don't know, man. Maybe we should look it up. Maybe they're right. This person said Shakespeare would skip it. I have seen at least 10 versions of Macbeth. If this was the worst one, Denzel seemed to be reading his lines and totally out of his league. Francis was okay, but miscast. So disappointing. This movie was absolutely horrible. Waited for it to get better throughout. Why was this rated R? We left the theater a half hour early.
Wow.
I've seen high school plays that were better. Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors, but his performance in this wasn't what I expected or hoped for. I was so bored 15 minutes into it, I'd rather watch YouTube ads. Thou art boring and shalt be turned off. Thyself is bored. Thou wouldst be suicidal. Greg Reese said, plain bad. Was this a project done out of boredom during the pandemic? Minimal sets, minimal emotion, just a hatchet job on Shakespeare. Ronan Sartina said, why high schoolers are forced to read this is beyond me, completely incomprehensible and not even a good storyline. Zara Stewart says, terribly done, bleak and boring the whole way through. I could have done a better job with this one. Marine D says, worst movie ever. You couldn't understand what they were saying, and it was like a play, not a movie. It's a weird criticism for this one, but Frank Utah says, endured it and sorry I did. Was so looking forward to it. A bad puppet show, wooden and lifeless, which a tour de force. Ramiro Cervantes said, this is by far the worst movie I've seen Denzel Washington. Not impressed at all. Raz Naik said, potato casting. Next, I want to see the movie about 50 Cent where Tom Hanks is 50 Cent. Michael Fisher said, OMG, this movie has no direction. Just boring English dialogue. Snooze fest. Daniel Petit says, a tragic POC marked rendition of a diseased and dying West. Lisa Bowen says, Washington was terrible as Macbeth. Bethany Goldstein says, Denzel has no place playing Macbeth. A lot of people, questionable backgrounds. And then, yeah, the one full one I'll read quick. We can cut this out. Is from a week ago. Stuffed bone to hem and thoroughly strangled by Shakespearean gobbledygook. The tragedy of Macbeth is truly crying tragedy because of the horrible film it faithfully is from start to finish. Easily the otherwise haloed Joel Coen's worst film. From the get-go, I feel like reading these is my Shakespeare. Like I can't read people's writing. Like the language is so hard. Gobbledygook. From the get-go, this black and white film's truncated aspect ratio reveals its fatal flaw, an over-reliance on overblown ancient dialogue whose mummified formality lacks emotional bite. Whether 400 years old or not, these ridiculously antique and flatulently Baroque lines by Joel Coen are certainly timeless in their pompous stupidity. This kind of size 12 dialogue may be better read at leisure off the page or through the deliberate volume of the stage, but is almost incoherent when spoken briskly in a modern film. The stark emotional power of Coen's Spartanly and wondrously harvested in Fargo and No Country for Old Men are nowhere evidence in this pedantic wreck. The great Denzel Washington's weakness are stripped bare. He spends 3/4 of the film sleepwalking through said dandy lines, and the other bit looking an old balding man with a salt and pepper stubble. If Frances McDormand's police chief Marge from Fargo came upon this lot, she would scrunch up her face and then say, hands up, and arrest them all for putting a good sense through the wood chipper. Up in world.
Wow.
Alphine.
Wow. I do want to read something. I was looking at the black and white thing, and there's no explanation that I found, but
you want me to send you this review? That's a pretty good review.
But I'm on Slash Film. It's a movie blog, and it's so funny. This person wrote about being shot in black and white. He says, this is news that will no doubt make some cinephiles start watering at their mouth. Yep. So that totally goes with your wet dream, literally.
Film critics' wet dream. The film was shot in black and white.
It was, yeah.
Joe Coen shot entirely in black
I
and
always
white.
wonder, okay, I wonder about that because it's digital, right? So why don't you just shoot it in color and do it in post, with black and white in post, in case you need the colorized version or anything?
You could do that.
Yeah. Like, why
Did it
shoot
come out
it?
the same though?
I mean, there's probably some like black and white levels that are more accurate, I guess, but no one gives a shit. No one's gonna care. There's probably there are films out there, like I'm sure Sin City was done in post. There's other films out there, and that looked fine.
Do you see all the like? Do you think though, because all the lighting and everything was so important, do you think like they just wanted to shoot it as like they wanted to make sure it's exactly how it looked, like the director of photography or
Yeah,
whatever,
I could see
was
this
like,
being
I need
mapped
to see
from-
exactly how this looks as we shoot.
Yeah,
versus like
that's true.
fixing every single scene in
Which I get. I 100% get that. And I will say, like, I think what I did like about the cinematography is they had a lot of like, because I feel like in black and white movies, like especially older films, a lot of their scenes are dark, mainly black, nighttime scenes. This one had a lot of daytime outdoor quote unquote scenes that were white, which I thought was interesting because I haven't seen a lot of that in black and white movies. You don't get a lot of white trumping black. You get a lot of black trumping white.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So yeah.
Well, they're trying to cover it up, but it's because of the pandemic. So
other news, Sundance started. Goes until the 30th.
Man, we talked about this. I mean, not during the pandemic, but I always wanted to volunteer at Sundance. I mean, go if I have the money to go. It's just it's very expensive to volunteer.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you volunteer and you work enough shifts, you get certain like these number of shifts equals like a pass you can use at certain things, but like it doesn't cover housing.
Right.
So like even if you volunteer, you have to find housing in Park City, and it's like during Park City, Utah.
Oh, okay. I think I know some people out there.
Well, that's the play, because like a lot of volunteers just like do what you would do, and they rent a place and like everyone just sleeps on like the floor, so like they try to split it because otherwise it's super expensive. But
I mean, it's a
week long
thing, yeah.
Sundance, or really actually, I mean, Sundance is iconic, but we'd love to go to any film festival. Actually.
We should do that, dude. We should like do like a weekend or something at a film festival, or like Tribeca or something
cool.
too. Like that'd be cool. Sundance would be top.
And it's like the pinnacle, just because it's like it is what it is. But
Sundance, yeah. I would love to go to South by Southwest in Austin.
Yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Or like find the new tiny one that's not huge yet.
Yeah,
but like is like the next Sundancer. South by Southwest.
We'll have to ask
Eric. I was gonna say another tidbit. Eric was a little worried about film festivals.
He was.
But yeah. To get out of the way, we have to start every week with sad news. But Louis Anderson died.
Yeah.
Who is a St. Paul native.
Oh,
I believe.
Didn't know that.
I believe he grew up in St. Paul, and he started comedy in Minneapolis. I forget the name of the club he started at, but
wait, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What is he? Like, I know him. He's familiar, but like I don't know him at the same time.
Dude, he's from. If you haven't seen Baskets with Zach Galifianakis, and he plays Zach's mom, it is. I think he won an Emmy for it, which is hilarious. But it is the funniest thing. The funniest. Like you'd die laughing watching Baskets.
I'm into it.
It's a good like maybe high show to throw on for you. It's not. It maybe I don't know if it's there, but like you would die laughing.
Okay.
Baskets is hilarious, and this is going to be my new mention Bowfinger every time. Until both of you watch Search Party, I'm going to mention Search Party every time.
Okay.
But because the 5th season came out, so I've been rewatching from season 1 before season 5. And when he passed away the other day, I went to go watch the next episode of Search Party, just randomly in season 3. And I forgot he plays one of the lawyers. And so he came in on that episode. And it was like such a cool,
that's
but
really
also
cool.
sad.
Yeah.
But just like, he's the funniest. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen him pop up in a film or show and not just like cried laughing.
That's good to know. I'm always about those people. So
Yeah. So very sad he passed away, but visit some Louis Anderson stuff
Okay.
because the guy is, I mean, a legend.
Cool.
Hilarious.
Good to know about it. Death on the Nile comes out in February next.
I am excited about that. I want to see that.
What's this?
New
What-
Agatha Christie adaptation. It's like kind of the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, but not. It's like the same.
Oh,
It's not
Same,
really a
like-
sequel, but it's like the same.
same
It's the
thing.
same
play somewhere else.
actor, same.
Yeah, kind of. So the guy who played the detective, Kenneth Branagh, he directs it and wrote. He directed it, wrote it, and started it. The same he did with the first one too.
So in other words, they're trying to make lightning strike twice.
Yes.
Cool, 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 cool.
Yeah, but that's kind of it. There's not much. I mean, I feel like right now it's kind of slower for movies.
Yeah, it's that end of the like right. It's like the cutoff where like movies either come out right before to get into like
Yeah.
the award year, or they don't want to come out right at the beginning because then
Right.
everyone's gonna forget them.
Yep.
This isn't really like news, but I'm like finally jumping on the Ted Lasso train.
Ooh, what do you
Um,
think?
I think it's hilarious. I love
Yeah,
British
it's so
humor.
good. I'm glad you're finally watching that.
I know it's good. I think we just like started the second season, so
Nice.
almost caught up. I think.
I'm
But
so
yeah.
curious too
Huh?
how that ages, or not
Yeah,
ages, but
same.
like there's so many people that it was obviously such a hit show. I mean, I loved it, but I've heard a few people who started it like more recently who were like, I just didn't. It just probably because there was so much hype, like it just didn't seem like it was that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I also think though it came out at like the perfect time where like it was like early pandemic when everyone just needed that feel good, like laugh, such
Yeah.
feel good story, you know, and it still is, but I think it just also hit at like such the perfect time. Did they plan the pandemic? Next week on Conspiracy Watch, right after our exclusive interview with Scar.
Off script.
Going to be a
with
good
Scar.
one next week, folks.
I mean, we could get Jeremy Irons, who plays Scar, even though he's a really
Oh,
popular.
how about
actor.
Jeremy Strong from Succession, who everyone
do a
says
Scar
is like out of
voice.
his mind, but he's like my favorite person in the world. He's like a real method person.
I need to watch more of his stuff.
Have you heard? I mean, there was like a big New Yorker article on him. So I won't get into the details of like him, but like he's very clearly like a method, you know, like, and to be fair though, that guy gives a performance. Like that guy is
Yeah.
so good. But like even Brian Cox on Succession was saying how he was like worried for him because he was like, just can't do, like that's so hard on you. You can't do that for that long. He's like, that's why like Daniel Day-Lewis had to retire, is because like he did that and it just takes a toll on you. And so he's like, Jeremy's young and like I'm just worried that he can't do this for that long because he's like super intense. Like
Right.
and I just love to think of it next to like Kieran Culkin and stuff, where you just imagine it's like all over the place and like hilarious and stuff. And then Jeremy's just like, I'm gonna nail this. Like he does though, man. I love him, but
He's in quite a bit of movies. Well, 30 movies. Not too bad. I haven't seen any of them, but all right,
maybe
got
I'll
it.
pick one next week. Probably not, but maybe.
It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
Angels in the outfield.
What a classic.
I know. Is that a
I'm
wrap?
surprised we haven't.
Oh,
I mean,
sorry.
we did Mighty Ducks, so I don't know what else there is, but I'm surprised since joining the Wild, you haven't flown into a hockey phase. You're like Miracle. Or like,
I just watched Miracle not too long ago. What else? Yeah, I mean, there's not that really many great hockey movies. There's like Slapshot. You have Goon. They're not great.
Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks. is
1,
solid.
2, 3. Miracle.
The sea. Did you watch the sea? You watched the series, the Mighty Ducks series.
No,
Did
I
we talk
haven't
about
yet.
You haven't watched it yet?
But it's because I didn't have Disney Plus,
Oh,
and now I just got Disney. I just got Disney Plus
wow, you are slacking.
because I like got like a week of it when we had to watch something on it, and then, but now I actually have it. So,
You should watch it. It's actually pretty good.
right.
For like a kid show, like of an adaptation of what we grew up with. It's pretty solid.
I'm into it. The preview looked pretty good. Like I
Yeah.
thought I'd like the kids. So
It's not like overdone. You know how a lot of like legacy sequels like overdo things.
yeah,
Like it's not overdone at all.
cool.
Because
Cool.
that's a lot of my issues. Like that's why I really like the new Scream, because they did it enough where they like, reference and original people and stuff, but it wasn't like Halloween Kills where they're like,
Yeah.
so that's
But another hockey movie that everyone forgets, Most Valuable Primate, where the monkey plays hockey.
Wait,
That's
that
a
sounds like
classic.
a movie right up my alley that I don't
Joe, have
think
you
I've
not
seen.
seen Most
does.
Valuable Primate?
No.
Okay, hold on. I'm about to pitch you your new favorite series. There's also, I believe it's just called Ed, though. I don't think it's an MVP movie, but it's called Ed, where he plays baseball. It's the monkey who plays baseball, which is another just killer movie. And then there's MVP, which is Most Valuable Primate, where he plays hockey. And then there's also, I think it's MVP 2, where the monkey skateboards and he's like a pro skateboarder.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in like a month. I'm sure.
yeah. It sounds right up Joe's alley.
Move over, Hot Fuzz. We got a new movie coming in.
And George of the Jungle.
This goes right up there. I loved those movies when I was young. So no knocks on them. They're great.
That's hilarious.
Love it. Is that a wrap?
Let's wrap it up.